Social justice and the marginalized. Meaning of marginalized groups and economic and social justice. Marginalized groups. Marginalized groups or communities are those which have been ignored in the past due to various social and economic causes. They have been at the bottom of the society for historical reasons. They do not form the mainstream of the society. The chief among these groups are the scheduled castes, SCs, the scheduled tribes, STs, other backward classes, OBCs, and the minorities. Economic and social justice. Economic and social justice means everything that ensures the welfare of all the members of the society, especially the welfare of the weaker or backward sections of the society. There are different types of social and economic inequalities in India, like untouchability, caste system, conservative attitude, illiteracy, and gender bias. So, economic and social justice is very important in a country like India, with so many inequalities. The economic and social justice implies equal opportunity, economic security, abolition of social inequalities and social evils, providing special benefits to backward classes, bridging the gap between the rich and the poor, protection of the interest of the workers, fulfillment of basic needs of all the members of the society. Scheduled castes. Areas where they are mainly concentrated are Bihar, Haryana, Madhya Pradesh, Punjab, Rajasthan, UP, Andhra Pradesh, Tamil Nadu, West Bengal, and Maharashtra. The Constitution of India does not define the scheduled castes. In simple words, we can say that castes which were formerly treated as untouchables in the society are called scheduled castes. According to the census of 2011, they form 16.6% of the total population of India. Scheduled tribes. They normally live in the states of India like Mizoram, Nagaland, Meghalaya, and Arunachal Pradesh, Lakshadweep Island, Dadra and Nagar Haveli, Andaman and Nicobar Islands, Madhya Pradesh, Odisha, Rajasthan, Maharashtra, and Bihar. As is the case with the scheduled castes, the Constitution of India does not define the scheduled tribes as well. In simple terms, we can say that castes which were socially discarded and were economically backward, mostly residing in tribal areas, are known as scheduled tribes. According to the census of 2011, they form 8.6% of the total population of India. Backward classes. The weaker sections of the society, other than the SCs and STs, are called backward classes. The term backward classes has not been defined in the Constitution of India. In general terms, we can say that weaker sections of the society, other than the scheduled castes and scheduled tribes, are known as backward classes. The Mandal Commission had estimated them as 52% of the country's total population. Measures taken for providing social justice are legislation against untouchability, National Commission for SCs, free education at different stages, free uniform and stationery, scholarships, reservations in services and legislatures, loan facilities, schools and hostel facilities, reservations in educational institutions, allotment of ration shops, constitutional provision for social justice for SCs and STs. The establishment of social justice is as essential as it is difficult. Every state has its peculiar problems. So to implement social justice in a society is quite difficult. India is a very big country with innumerable interest groups which collide with one another several times. They fight religion and caste considerations. The chief provisions for uplifting and safeguarding the interests of SCs and STs are Article Main Provisions. Article 15.2 Freedom of access to the use of public wealth, etc. Article 14 It confers equal rights and opportunities to all. Article 15.1 It prohibits discrimination against any citizen on the grounds of sex, religion, race, caste, etc. Article 17. It prohibits untouchability. Article 19. Freedom to move freely in the country. Article 46. It says that the state should take care of the educational and economic interests of the weaker sections of the society, particularly SCs and STs, and shall protect them from social injustices and all forms of exploitation. Article 27.5. It promises grant in aid for promoting the welfare of STs and raising the level of administration of the scheduled areas. Implementation of the constitutional provisions. Steps taken care for the welfare and upliftment of the weaker sections of the society, especially SCs and STs are reservations in jobs, in educational institutions, and in legislatures. Coaching and training for various competitive examinations to improve the representation of SCs and STs in various services. Providing textbooks to SC and ST students of engineering and medical courses. Scholarships and grants for Higher Education Board. Launching vocational training in tribal areas and opening educational institutions for the promotion of female literacy in these areas. Social justice for other backward classes. Constitutional provisions. Article 16.4. It enables the state for making provisions for the reservation of appointments or posts in favor of any backward class of citizens. Article 46. It contains a very significant directive regarding promotion of educational and economic interests of other weaker sections and protecting them from social injustice and all forms of exploitation. Reservations. The Constitution does not allow discrimination, but it does allow the government to give some special facilities to the weaker sections of the society. This is to ensure that these sections do not lag behind the rest of the society. The government helps the weaker sections by reserving some jobs for them in government offices. The government also reserves some seats for the weaker sections in certain types of educational institutions. Under its present reservation policy, the central government reserves a total of 49.5% of the posts in its offices for the SCs, STs and OBCs. In this matter, the Supreme Court has stated that the total reservations should be less than 50%. In some institutions, the government reserves seats for women. For example, in local self-government bodies, 1/3 of the seats are reserved for women. The seats reserved for women comprise 1/3 of the seats meant for the weaker sections and 1/3 of the seats meant for the other sections of the society. Mandal Commission, 1978-80. Accepting the Supreme Court's verdict, the Union government implemented the reservation for the backward classes. The President of India appointed a commission under the chairmanship of B.P. Mandal in 1978, and this was known as the Mandal Commission. As per the recommendations of the Commission, 27% of the posts in public services are reserved for other backward classes. The government has provided them relaxation in qualifying marks, in written examinations, and in interviews. Relaxation in upper age by 3 years in direct recruitment has also been provided to OBCs. The OBCs have been provided relaxation to clear the civil services examination in 7 attempts. These are some of the steps which have been laid by the government for the social justice for other backward classes. Minorities. Minorities, whether religious or lingual, are those who have less number of people of their own sect and religion in a particular region or regions. Social justice for the minorities. India is a land of many religions. In a democratic country, the majority rules, and many minority groups, especially religious communities like the Muslims, Christians, Sikhs, and Jains, may fear that their rights may not be given to them and laws may be made which may prove harmful for their community. So, to remove the misconception, the Indian Constitution has made certain provisions for safeguarding the interests of the minorities. The minorities account for 18.4% of the estimated population. They are engaged in traditional trades and crafts like handlooms, handicrafts, glasswork, metalwork, etc. The interests of the scheduled castes, scheduled tribes, and the other backward classes have been safeguarded by the Constitution, and the constitutional provisions are being implemented sincerely and effectively. As far as the constitutional provisions for safeguarding the interests of the minorities are concerned, every effort is being made to facilitate them, besides preserving and maintaining their cultural identity. Article 29 and Article 30 of the Constitution of India. Article Main Provisions 29, 1 and 2. Protection of interest of minorities. Relates to conservation of right of language, script or culture, and to non-discrimination in matter of admission to educational institutions. Any section of the citizens residing in the territory of India or any part thereof having a distinct language, script or culture of its own shall have their right to conserve the same. No citizen shall be denied admission into any educational institution maintained by the state or receiving aid out of state funds on the grounds only of religion, race, caste, language, or any of them. According to Article 30, in making any law providing for the compulsory acquisition of any property of an educational institution established and administered by a minority, the state shall ensure that the amount fixed by or determined under such laws for the acquisition of such property is such as would not restrict or abrogate the right guaranteed under that clause. The state shall not, in granting aid to educational institutions, discriminate against any educational institution on the ground that it is under the management of a minority, whether based on religion or language. In our country, every effort is being made to protect the rights of the minorities. Minority Commission solves problems of minorities. Untouchability. Untouchability can be defined as a practice of separation followed by upper caste people against lower castes. Untouchability is an extension of the caste system. Gandhiji called them Harijans or children of God. The people who were treated as untouchables now use the self-respecting term Dalits to describe themselves. Different forms of untouchability. Some of the important things that have to be mentioned before we move on to the reforms are: the lower caste people were forbidden to touch the higher caste people. Separate localities were created for these people. They were barred from using the same wells as upper caste people. The lower caste people were denied temple entry and access to common tanks. They were barred from educational facilities. Lower caste people were restricted from entering the main portions of the house of the upper caste people. People separated the vessels used by lower castes. Lower caste people were not allowed to share the same food as upper castes. These are some of the common forms of untouchability, but there were many more. So, many social reformers like Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, Jyotiba Phule, and Mahatma Gandhi went a long way for the upliftment of these marginalized classes. Things have changed now. Today, many people belonging to these classes are working as heads of many administrative units, and many more are holding posts of high responsibilities in other units. Now, there is no ban on their entry into hotels, educational institutions, hospitals, temples, etc. With better education and better economic position, the marginalized classes are bound to break the shackles of the caste system and untouchability. Manual scavenging. The practice of removing human waste manually is called manual scavenging. The people who do this work are called scavengers. It has been practiced in India for centuries to stop people from doing or making others do this unhygienic and undignified work. The Government of India passed a law called the Employment of Manual Scavengers and Construction of Dry Latrines Prohibition Act, 1993. Under this law, it is illegal for any person to be employed to carry human waste manually or to employ anybody else to do so. The law has also made the construction and maintenance of dry latrines, toilets that cannot be cleaned by flushing water, illegal. Even before the law against manual scavenging was passed, Dr. Bindeshwari Pathak came up with the concept of building and maintaining a hygienic system of public toilets. In the 1970s, he started an organization called Sulabh International, which set up a large number of hygienic pay-and-use shauchalayas, toilets at various places. This has reduced the need for manual scavenging.